Hello everyone, good afternoon. I'm Pooja Kamal, your host for the Event FAQs Power Women Forum Conversations today. Firstly, a very, very happy Women's Day to all the ladies that have tuned in, and to our gentlemen. We wish you a very happy Women's Day to all the ladies in your homes, in your lives, that make your lives so, so much better. You know, they say a strong woman looks a challenge dead in the eye and gives it a wink. Such are the strong and daring women in our industry of events and entertainment. And what better day than today, International Women's Day, to actually celebrate their strength and bring it to the forefront. On that note, welcome to all of you to this beautiful virtual event organized by EVENTFaqs Media to take forward the agenda of the Event FAQs Power Women Forum and celebrate the women of the event industry. Before we begin, let me thank Tag Labs, our tech partners, for their help on this event. And with that, I now like to invite Sravana Lahiri, editor of Event FAQs, to set the stage for this beautiful event up ahead.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the EVENTFaqs Power Women Forum Conversations, which promises to be a series of scintillating conversations on International Women's Day, as we take up issues relating to women in the event industry and also issues facing women worldwide. In the run-up to this event today, we've had a series of interviews with the leading women of the event industry that have given us extremely interesting insights and which we hope to build on as we go about building this forum stronger. Thank you, Nisha Narayan, for being our keynote speaker, and thank you to all the women who are part of this forum today. Here's to strong women. May we be them, may we raise them. Over to Pooja and let the conversations flow.
So beautifully said. May we know them, may we be them, may we raise these strong, strong women, and some very scintillating conversations up ahead with such strong women of our event industries are in order. But before that, let me welcome the keynote speaker at the Event FAQs Power Women Forum Conversations, Nisha Narayanan, Director and COO of 93.5 Red FM and Magic FM, to talk on what will it take to have more women leaders around. An entrepreneur and experienced leader herself, Nisha Narayanan is a prominent name in radio circles. I'm sure most of us already know her. She is credited with making Red FM one of the largest radio networks today by spearheading the setting up of new radio stations across markets in the country. It was her vision to make Red FM accessible to its audiences across various touch points that gave birth to multiple IPRs under the aegis of Red FM, like the very successful Red Live, Red Digital, and Red Indies, which features non-film music as a part of Red's on-air content and focuses on creating brands out of raw talent. And to moderate this very interesting session, I'm going to call up somebody whose name itself is going to get a smile on your faces, because she is our quintessential girl next door, the impish, the playful, and the very, very endearing YouTuber and actor Prajakta Kohli, a social media influencer known for her mostly sane YouTube channel with over 6 million subscribers. She's a popular face in the digital industry and was the Indian ambassador at YouTube's Creators for Change initiative. Over to these two wonderful ladies.
Thank you, Pooja. Thank you so much. I think it's just the right day to talk about having more women leaders to make our world a better place. But how do you make that a reality? So let's hear about this further from our keynote speaker, Ms. Nisha Narayanan. Nisha, over to you.
So thank you for making me a part of this very, very special day, Event FAQs Power Women Forum Conversations. Now, I can't really speak for other industries, but I can say this for media, for marketing, for advertising, that we as an industry have some extremely remarkable and inspiring women leaders who are bold, they take on challenges, and they stand up for very strong values. I've been requested to talk on what will it take to have more women leaders. And the first and foremost thing that comes to my mind is the ability of a woman to believe in what she does and to stand up for what she believes in. Now, this is not an easy ecosystem for a woman. The world around us is extremely brutal. The more we continue to change laws and policies that are anti-women, or change the society's attitude towards women, and fight for gender equality, the more we realize that the fight is going to be an extremely long one, and there is very little that will change overnight. So even as we try and change things, we must also work with what we have, and what we have inherited is a society that is not very kind to women. And perhaps the best way to deal with it is to value yourself a lot more. Don't wait for society to change while you walk the road towards leadership. Focus on building an entire body of work that you are proud of. Stand up for what you believe in. I truly think that it is okay to raise your voice against what you think is wrong. Stand up for yourself, and always be fearless. It is not a quality that you develop overnight. It is something that you need to cultivate, and you need to hold on to your value systems, both in good times as well as in bad times. Work towards a more inclusive environment, support other women, and help each other grow. And that is extremely important. So as I said before, you see, success, it always comes at a price. Frankly, this whole concept of work-life balance, etc., is quite unknown to me. In fact, in my entire career, I don't remember days or months or even years when I've been able to balance my personal life and professional life. Let us not have any illusions about this. There are times when you will have to sacrifice your time and your personal life and be less of an ideal wife or a mother in the pursuit of your goals, or perhaps even less than a perfect girlfriend. I know this sounds brutal, but then it is what it is. You see, I've not been able to take a long weekend off or read a book peacefully in a very long time, and there are no breaks even when you're not home, because I truly think that leadership is not something where you can switch off at 6 p.m. If you're willing to accept a certain kind of life, and that is what you really choose to do, then go fearlessly and then go all out. The rewards are immense. But then I must also say that those who make different choices are also not wrong, because they're probably just as happy with their choices. There are so many people, in fact, who I know from the corporate world who have quit and are at peace with themselves in their new avatars. They live these charmed lives among the hills and on the beaches and feel very truly blessed. And you've seen them on Instagram posts. There are days when I envy them. It's all about choices. It is all a choice. It's about what you really want to do with your life, and your goals may change over time, over a period of time. Let's face it, we're the lucky ones. We I think have inherited this social and cultural capital that makes a difference, that gives us an edge. But what makes a greater difference is what you do with it. The whole concept, or rather the equality of opportunity, does not exist in India, not for millions of women. But leadership is not an inheritance, or it's not a gift. As far as I'm concerned, I think it is a trait, a quality in everything that you do. Leadership is not a position. It is a process. And when you realize that, the fact that it is not a position and that it is a process, your journey will be far more fulfilling. Perhaps the two things that you should ask yourself, or rather the two questions that you must ask yourself is what are you really willing to give up? and what are you willing to fight for? These are your two important questions which you need to really arrive at. So you should choose your battles as carefully as you choose your sacrifices. Do not give up everything. Do not fight for everything. Remember the Serenity prayer? It says, give me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thank you so much.
In today's workspace, as we speak in 2021, what are the clear barriers that women face exclusively, and how are you taking care of that at Red FM?
You know, at Red FM, we're a creative team. Obviously, there's a lot of creative people, from the office boy to the sales team to the creative team. Everyone thinks they're creative, and they're also possessive about their creative ideas, etc. So it's a passion which is all around, right? And I think one of the things that gets, that everybody gets blamed for is that, there's too much of emotional quotient if there are too many women working there. Now, I don't think that's a negative at all. I mean, I take it in our stride, because to me, most of our senior guys in our team at Red FM are all women leaders. And I think it also comes with a lot of passion, also a lot of ownership, a lot of responsibility, and a lot of emotional quotient attached to the work that they do. But it's okay. I'm just saying that as long as we work within those boundaries, and as long as we know as business heads that they're passionate about what they're doing, I think you should give them the credit, and all they need is a lot of encouragement and support, and knowing that we have their back, and they perform. So at Red, we've been glad to have many people, who's both men and women, who've spent more than 8 to 10 years in the company. They've been having a lot to do at Red FM, and maybe we're doing something right to have them for such a long time. Especially, most of these industries, you see that people are not serving that company more than 2 to 3 years. So it's good to see a workplace where people are there for more than 8 to 10 years. And that's because they're passionate, they're loyal, a lot of them are women. And the good part about having a lot of women in the team is also because whenever there's a lot of friction, they're also able to dissolve it very quickly, and they're able to sort of negate the friction a lot better. They are great solution providers. They try and work around things, etc. So there are a lot of positives to have a lot of women in the office. And it's also good that, unlike other industries, or quite a number of industries, the media, marketing, advertising space has a lot of women working there. So it's really heartening to have.
According to you, what are the measures we can take? What are the changes we can make to ensure equality, but also to make sure that there's more women leadership across companies and across sectors? I
think it's so important to instill a sense of fearlessness there. You have to cultivate women leaders within your organizations. Training is so important. Giving them the ability to work fearlessly, to allow them to take some risks, because you learn from your mistakes, you learn from experience, etc. As long as they're not terrible mistakes. But I do think that creative freedom, or that operational space to work and to allow them to believe, what they do, to stand up for certain value systems is also important. And I think as leaders, any business head or any organization should encourage all their employees, women and men, to do this. And that's the only way people will grow.
Tell us about your life mantras, things that you used to tell yourself through thick and thin.
Consistency, fearlessness, take risks. Don't fret about the fact that there is no work-life balance. I spoke about it, because I think it's an illusion that you'll be able to create a work-life balance, etc. So there are no real mantras. Work hard, be consistent with what you do, and build a team. And I can say this very proudly for Red FM, that all the work that we do is not because of me or because of the leader or people like us. It's largely because of the team that drives it, who's spirited, who's enthusiastic, who's passionate, and who believes. There's not one day that passes by without anybody in the team coming in and fighting for what they believe, what they think is right and what we should be doing. So I think create a great environment of people who think ahead, who are the future leaders of the country.
What is your message to the young woman out there who is set out and wants to be a leader?
I think I just answered this, which is to choose your battles carefully, right? I think choose your battles, choose what is worth fighting for. You cannot be fighting anything and everything. Choose wisely and stand up for belief systems, be fearless, speak out if you think there's something wrong, and be consistent about it. There's nothing wrong in that. And I think that would be all. And believe in yourself. And just the only thing I reiterated earlier as well when I was talking, and even now, that leadership is not a designation and it is not a position. I've heard people say that, I want to become a CEO. Of what? Of what, right? But if you know what you really love to do, if you know that this is what I really want to do, this is my area of work, this is my passion point, you want to be a CEO of what you really love to do? Yes. But just becoming a CEO or having a vision of just wanting to be a CEO doesn't make sense. So leadership is not really a position to me. It continues to be a process. It is something that you live, breathe in as a daily mantra. And that's very important. And that's how it should be always.
Okay, what if we give you a time travel machine? If there was time travel possible, which historic event would you like to go and live and watch and witness?
Well, I don't really want to kind of respond to it in a very linear fashion, but let me try and see how to kind of answer this. Yeah. So a few days ago, there was a UN post and it spoke about respecting women at work, home, politics, online, in science, on the road, just about everywhere. Now, this is 2021. Now, in the year 1913, about 108 years ago, Emmeline Pankhurst, the British suffragette, she made a speech called Freedom or Death. And she was fighting for women's right to vote. Now, this was the beginning of the last century. Now, when I say fought, she really, really fought. So the suffragette movement in Britain was unusually aggressive, and Emmeline Pankhurst spoke to crowds from a stretcher. She broke out of jail. She got smuggled into lecture halls to avoid the police and had arrest warrant out for her a number of times. So when she made her speech, which is Freedom or Death, she was dodging an arrest warrant back home. So during the year and a half before this famous speech, she was jailed about 12 times in Britain, and she spent most of her jail time on a hunger strike. And as Pankhurst says in her speech, and you must all read that up whenever you get the time, that you cannot make omelets without breaking eggs. And that is so true, because 108 years later, we still seem to be fighting for basic rights for women, including respect, and that is absolutely unfortunate. So I don't know about witnessing historical events, but if you actually look at it, we're still struggling and we're still fighting wars to find some basic rights like respect for women in all spheres of life.
Thank you, everybody. That is all from me, Prajakta Kori. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Prajakta. Thank you so much, Ms. Nisha Narayanan. That has left us so recharged. I don't think there was a better way to kickstart today's conversations. I think we're all going to go back with telling ourselves standing up for what you believe in is key. Be fearless. Yes, there are sacrifices down the road, but more often than not, the rewards are immense. The rewards are worth it. On that note, we move to our first panel debate, and for the debate, which is, do women feel safe in the events industry? How safe are women today, and what can be done to make the environment safer? Hear it from these leading ladies of the events and experiential industry. All of them have seen the industry from within and are the best voices to talk about safety. I welcome to the panel, first up, Aarti Mattu, MD, Momentum Experiences and Events LLP. With her versatility and competence, she is a perfectionist in planning weddings, corporate and other events worldwide. Niyati Vora, Vice President, Wizcraft International, who has strategized and managed several mega corporate events for one of India's leading agencies. Prerna Saxena, CEO, Theme Weavers Designs, who designs dazzling events with great attention to detail, bringing to life each client's vision with her work. And Tabassum Modi, founder, director, Victor Tango, who has always believed in breaking new ground. The combination of strategic management and executional capabilities gives her an edge. To moderate this esteemed panel, I invite show host, voiceover artist, and theatre actor Sanchali Arora. Over to you, Sanchali.
For that very warm introduction and a warm welcome to the entire panel. Thank you for joining us here. Well, I think this is a topic which is close to not only my heart, but of course, every woman who's been working in the industry for long. So first and foremost, a warm welcome, a very happy International Women's Day to everyone who's joined us here. So let's begin. I already see all the panelists here with us. Hi, Aarti. Hi, Prerna. Of course, our VPs from EMA, the Apex body, are already here. Tabassum is here with us. And of course, Niyati Vora. So let me start by asking, what is the special thing that you have done to make this 8th of March special for yourself? I know the standard line goes that every day is Women's Day. We acknowledge that. But then this is a day which is specially dedicated to us by all men and women around the world. So how are you feeling today? Let's start with Aarti.
Hi, Sanchali. Hi, lovely ladies, power ladies. So I've been doing panels since morning, and like all of us, I think some of us were there on other panels, and it's really heartening to be with these lovely ladies because somewhere we are all talking the same language. We are talking the same, echoing same stories, which are very inspiring, and some of them are very light-hearted. Also, they are fun. Also, so that's what we've been doing through the day. And yes, one more thing that I must add: somebody in the office wished ladies a happy Women's Day, and I told them, I said, my retort to that was, I said, happy Women's Day to everyone, not just to ladies. And now you can keep decoding that. I'm going to have a chat with them why I said that, as we'll discover the same stuff in this session also. Over to others.
Yes, Prerna.
Hi, so I'm traveling. I'm not in the country. So it's been a really nice day. And
How lucky is that, right?
and again, my strategist, everybody have a message saying that.
I think, Prerna, your voice, I lost your voice a little bit. Yeah, closer to the mic a little bit.
Is better?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm traveling. So while I am on a network, but sometimes might be a little slow. So I said that I'm traveling. It's been a very nice, wonderful day, and been in touch with the office, doing a lot of things, everyday stuff, and yeah, our office, everyone wished each other happy birthday, especially the men kind of got together and wished all of us on a Zoom call. So that's been quite it.
So we all have been zooming in day in, day out since the pandemic has started, and now you're also in another country. How lucky is that? What are the wizards doing, Niyati? How are they making you feel special? I saw a post where you got something from and you was thanking Sabaz for it, and I want to know how your day started.
So I started my day by wishing happy Women's Day to my mother-in-law. I think what we miss out is that we don't acknowledge each other as women, and that's one thing I've started from today. Of course, every day is a special day for us, but I think we don't acknowledge each other. So I recommend we do that. And we walked into the office with lovely hampers from Soul Plus, so that was a good day start. And of course, sharing the panel with these lovely ladies is another highlight of the day for me.
Thank you, Niyati. That is really sweet, and I'm sure that made your day special. Once you start on a good note, the day just pans out fine. And Tabassum, now coming to you. So, Victor, and any tango happening right there?
No, honestly, it's a regular day at work, and except for these fantastic panels that we've been having today, I think it's like any other day. We've not really. I mean, I don't know. I've always had the thought process that we don't need a day to celebrate ourselves, and we try to keep it the same every day. But it's interesting to actually read all the points of view and the conversations around Women's Day, and all the groups are just buzzing whether we need a day to celebrate ourselves or we don't, and everybody has different points of view. So it's quite interesting to read that. So yeah, other than that, it's been a regular day, and yeah, we've been doing some panels from morning, so that's fun.
Okay, I believe so. This topic hasn't been touched so far throughout the day, whatever panels I've seen. And before now, it's time to talk about something serious. I think so. A lot of serious conversation is going to follow, and I'll request you ladies to be as candid and straightforward as possible. Not that I need to say that, especially knowing that we are all pretty empowered. We come from a place, we know what is happening in the industry. So let's start from the facts and figures. Everything, it is not something that is not known. There have been a number of articles, there have been a number of studies, everything has been published. The safety of women, not only in our industry, but across the globe, across industries, has been a topic which has been very important, pertinent, and something which has been of major concern. An industry like ours, where we have almost 40% ratio in terms of women working in the industry, I think it becomes even more important to understand the importance of safety for everyone working there. Now, having spoken that, even now when the pandemic started, things really changed. The boundaries were redefined. What we used to call a workplace, which was limited to office, where you're going, experiencing whatever you're experiencing, now shifted to home. And there were a lot of tensions because a lot of people lost their jobs. That pressure also came on the women who were inside, their home. So I will say the workplace, whether it is home or whether it is the direct office, both these places were equally the places where one could have experienced this kind of an assault, harassment, or a fear, because the cases of domestic violence also went up. So since the workplace change, I'm going to talk about both these things. Now, talking to you guys who are the leaders in the industry, what we really want to know is, what is your sentiment about this thing? Do you think women are safe as far as the event industry is concerned? I want you to answer this in short and probably just tell us, why do you feel the way you do? So once again, randomly, and I want you to answer this question both from a perspective as an employee, when you have been growing into the organization. I know things have changed over the years, things have become much better, but still it is not 100% there. And now when you are at a position of power, how has things changed? So these are basically two fragments or two ramifications of the same questions. And let's start with Niyati.
Thanks, Anjali. So at Viscraft, I can say that we've always felt extremely safe and special. We're really lucky to have Andevira Sabas who have supported women from day one. So whether I'm at a position of power or not, I've always felt special. Some of our most dynamic leaders are women in our company, and that's really thanks to all the support that we've got. Sabasa especially really is, the beacon of women's empowerment. He really believes that women leaders are some of the best leaders. So I can't say I'm going to be here just because of my own strength and passion and work, but I can say that he has also given this push at times, because women do need it. We always are faced with some challenge in our home lives, and he's always helping overcome that, to say no, you can push through and you can go ahead. So feeling safe is a question of the environment. So I'd say from an office perspective, yes, we feel safe. From a general industry perspective, I think women are safe and not safe both. I'm sure the other ladies will agree with me, and it's not just our industry, it's general men versus women sort of a issue. So over to you guys.
Okay, so Niyati, thank you very much for the answer. I don't really want to, I agree with whatever you say. I will say Viscras have been a great environment, and I'm sure the rest of the workplaces too have been. But I'll request everyone, if, as you rightly said towards the end, generally whatever has been happening in the industry is not limited to one organization. I say few of us, including me, has been very lucky not to face any kind of harassment. But I will say later during the line, when I started working, things were different. Probably I haven't been vocal about it because people were not really vocal about it. 15 years in the industry, I know how it goes. So thank you for sharing that perspective here with us. And now let me ask the same question here to Aarti. Aarti, what do you feel about this?
Well, I think most of you know that I've sort of over the years, growing years in the industry in my career, developed a sort of no nonsense attitude and a personality. Now, that has enabled me to a large extent to sort of, I mean, I haven't really encountered anything, but earlier on in my growing years, yes, I didn't know how to deal with these things. And there were incidents which, and rather favors that were asked, at times from time to time, which I didn't know how to deal with. So I used to get very aggressive, and I used to deal with them like almost let them have it, back. But now I do understand what is happening and what is the thread of our mental makeup in the society. Gender bias and problems such like these, what we are discussing, are global problems. They are not just existent in India. Unfortunately, in India, the quantum of the problem and the number of such cases is large because of our diversity. And that also comes from the fact that our life and our outlook as a country is not only developed just in the metro cities, but also a lot of India is rural cities. And that's where the change needs to happen, and that's where the problem needs to be addressed. So if I may, with Sanchali, I know you're driving this entire thing, but if I may navigate slightly this conversation towards focus on just women and rather both genders, and focus on not just safety and well-being per se, and let everybody's inputs come in for a better, sort of blast of a conversation and adventurous, mental marathon here. So yeah, let's talk about both genders, and let's also talk about safety and the well-being overall. So I personally have been safe, didn't encounter much, but I know event industry especially is now growing and developing in smaller cities. What about those? How do they handle this? What is their take around issues like this, and how prepared are we as an industry to sort those issues? So we'll go on in the discussion further.
Absolutely, Arti. We do have that in mind, and that is going to be a part of the conversation very shortly, because I think without that, the entire conversation is basically incomplete. Tabassum, I would love to hear your experience and your take on this topic. What do you feel, whether women as such in general are safe in the event industry? How do you feel personally as well as from an overall perspective? I think Tabassum's camera has kind of frozen. So I think, Tabassum, you'll have to check your internet connection. Okay, while she's coming back, I will ask Prerna the same question, of course.
So thank you, Niyati and Aarti, for putting perspective. And I totally agree with Niyati on this, that our industry is as big as any other industry. Take it like hospitality, travel, or a lot of industries where women are working day and night. It's not only our industry. So first, we need to stop saying that it's only our industry which has this problem. We have a lot of role models where we can also look outside industry, in the industry, and see how they're managing. So if few of us can manage, the others can manage too. Okay. So if you're having a challenge, first of all, let's speak up. We are also planning to start something with mentorship and all that is in future. But I'm saying let's see that how can we go? Are we comfortable to go to someone who's been in the industry and talk to that person and say, "Hey, this is my problem." I'm sure that person can help you out of it, give you a solution, give you a chance to say, okay, this is how it is. And it is really about the power inside. What if you're scared inside and you say, God, this will happen, God, this will happen? The chances it might. I'm not saying it will, it might. So what you exuberate, the strength that you exuberate from what you are really takes how you carry yourself in terms of being really confident and saying that, I can do the setup in the night and I'll be fine. Okay. Of course, be smart, not stupid. Okay. And I have followed this all through. And luckily, I would say, Sanchali, with, I'm sorry, but I've done night setups. When we started, we didn't have teams. Now, of course, the teams go, you don't have to go in the night and all that. But still, I don't say that a girl can't go for a night setup and a guy can only go. Okay? Of course, you have to see that you have to be smart enough to see that, what are your surroundings, and then choose wisely. How do you want to kind of, make sure that you're safe? You have to be smart and not stupid, but it's not that there is anything which a girl can't do and a guy can do. I never believed in that. I believe in equality than anything else. We have equal chances as anyone, and we are not above anyone and we are not below anyone. It is really it's not one up. It's equal. So equality and making your choices wisely, would keep you safe.
Okay, so Prerna, thank you very much for that perspective. I do agree that there are a lot of opportunities which are there. And things have changed, as we know, but then still, let me cite a case, when we're talking about this. Now, the Priya Ramani case, which has been in the news lately, right, on 17th February, if I'm not wrong, the verdict came out, which was something which dates back to 2003, right? And it is about when even people, like, there are women like us, there are women like you who will come forward, probably do things which are right. And but these are the people who are a very small percentage who have the courage to probably go forward. Second, these are the people who are probably a male counterpart, or anyone for that matter, who is a perpetrator in cases like of maybe they have gone out of the way to do something which is not right, abuse, sexual harassment, whatever you want to call it. But there is only a handful of people who have this power and who have heard. Now, I am also, like, when we talk about Priya Ramani, who was a well known journalist, even she had to just fight to get the fact out of the court that I am right, that whatever was said by me was not wrong. The people in the system were not even ready to acknowledge that fact. Till now, only thing that has been done till date is that, okay, this has been accepted that the woman was not wrong, but the perpetrator hasn't been brought to books, right? So this, I believe, is something that even happens in our industry, as how many women have the courage to go forward, or if they do go forward when an incident occurs, maybe they are usually, I'm sure everyone, is vigilant, or has certain safety parameters in mind when they are going at odd hours or trying to work in an environment which they believe is not safe. But despite that, when they come forward with a thing that maybe they are harassed or somebody has tried to act funny with them, they are questioned, and they are asked that, they are made to question themselves whether whatever they're saying even is right or whether it's wrong. So I know people like you have been the ones who have carried the baton forward, who have taken the causes like these forward. What, as stakeholders, can you do so that people within the community, within the industry, women are encouraged to bring, not only supported but also encouraged to bring forward the cases, so that overall women in the industry can feel safe? So anyone can take this up. Niyati, again.
Um, yeah, actually, I do have something to share on this. So, while everyone can say that women have to speak up and take care, it's not always easy for everyone. So, people like us who are outspoken and have probably experienced many things and are there need to really make the environment extremely conducive for the people around us to speak up and talk to us. So, for example, in my team, there have been one or two cases a couple of years back where one of the women was kind of harassed at a show, not by our own team, but by someone else, and it was quite impactful for her. We gave her the time, the counseling in house. We spoke to her, which sorted her problem. We also sent her to a counselor because we didn't want it to impact her entire life, and we have encouraged her to then now start speaking up and support other women. So this is what we do. I do at a daily level amongst my team members, amongst my friends, the people who I know. So only women can help each other very successfully because they understand what you go through. So even if you have not been really touched or spoken to, there could be something that keeps you that makes you feel not good. It's just a stare and just a look can also make you feel uncomfortable. And so we have to just not mock and understand each other. I think that is one very key thing that I'd like to tell all the women around. And the second thing is for our male counterparts, especially at the workplace, and especially the industry that we are in, to really be more sensitive. They are. I have really not faced any such thing, but it's you can't really categorize men and women in industry wise. They are men are men and women are women, and both have to be sensitive to the fact that things can happen. Um, so I guess we have to create an environment of speaking up. So Arti, you're right that it's there in rural, but it's also very there in the urban space. People don't speak up, and people go through this all the time. So I guess we have to help each other.
Thank you, Niyati. And I'm glad that, this was a step which was taken. Once you find a little bit of support and somebody sees that it is being supported by maybe the seniors or people around you, at least it gives courage to other women. And at least they are, if not, like the Me Too movement started, I'm sure many women didn't come forward. There must be thousands of women, but at least that gave the courage that if a situation like this arises, we have something in hand, a platform in hand where we will be heard. At least still they are not being heard. Their stories, there is no solution which is coming out, but at least there is something to step up. Okay, Aarti, same question to you. So as yeah, go ahead.
So Nyati has set the tone already, and I believe we have to attack the demon at multiple levels. What Nyati said is absolutely, I resonate with that. Yes, we have to address the problem once that problem or the crime or whatever we may call it, that act has happened. But we also need to work at an education level. There are so many biases that are entrenched into our minds, and it's so funny at a subconscious level that we don't even realize in our normal day-to-day conversations with between our peers, between our social circles, at workplaces, including our kids in their presence. We speak so many things which are ingrained into our systems, which somewhere or the other are sexist comments, are or are mindsets that are getting created because of the impressions of our ancestors or whatever the society was like. Small examples, if I may quote, like I mentioned it earlier today to somebody. I said, when people say being a woman you achieved this, is something that I just question it. Why are you even saying that to me? When somebody tells my 8-year-old son, why are you crying? Are you a girl? I take objection and offense to it. And the only difference that now I make is I establish a dialogue and I make them understand how you are actually creating another stereotype, trying to curb one. And exactly what I don't want to happen. I don't want another 50 years. We get the women lib and we get the feminist approach and we get gender equality. And while doing so, if we are trying to create another bias towards men, that's exactly, we don't want to spend 50 another years to correct that. So the point being that involve and include men and women both into gender unbias, and also ensure that we educate people, and then we address such acts with an open mind and with encouraging environments. We don't suppress the voices, we actually listen to them and make them into laudable case studies. Somebody actually took the courage and came out with their story, and was not shy about it. We also need to make policies at workplaces, which we don't have. Most of us do not have, policies that can actually ensure that when somebody, man or woman, when anyone is being subjected to harassment or violence or anything of that sort, even a remark, even a verbal remark, to sexist remark or something, that needs to be taken into action, and that really needs to be attended to. So we set these examples and we set these voices in so to say in stone. So this is, we need to attack it at multiple levels, and the education part is something that comes first, then come the proactive, the reactive, and the consequential. All of it needs to happen, all the possible cities. And I agree with you, Sanchali, that not many people, even when Me Too movement happened in the film industry, in our industry, nobody really came out, but there are a lot of cases I still know. In fact, we have a lovely lady, very inspiring lady, at EMA also, doing We Care, which is across for event industries, not just for EMA, for anyone and everyone. And they've had calls from men and women alike. So the idea is we need to wake up to it, we need to address it at an education and learning level, and then see what policies and etc. can do. Have those policies written out there where they are visible, not to hide them. And these are not conversations which have to be held back doors and soft whispers and all. These have to be loud conversations so that people take a notice and they know how to tread on these things. That's my take.
Thank you, Aarti. I'm glad you brought out this topic. I was ingrained patriarchy, something women have been taught that they are supposed to do certain things. And similarly, men are also taught that these are how, everything is okay if you do certain things. I don't think all men are wrong. When they are told that probably this is not acceptable, they agree to it. But the thing is, I think there is somewhere some onus lies with us. It is an environment which is also created by us, as you said, certain remarks, certain things we say in our day-to-day lives, which we don't even realize that is creating an environment of this sort. I think this is something that needs to address. And how you can address this is something that, we have to decide and bring it forward. And probably men, just the realization, I think they will be also happy to do certain things if they know that these are the boundaries. So those boundaries have to be well established. Now, when you're talking about something like, there is an education system, or we talked about We Care, and Poonam has been doing a lot of stuff for it. there are already laws which are there, right? The POSH law, which is prevention of sexual harassment, it clearly says any organization which has maybe 10 people or more needs to have a proper display. There's a zero tolerance policy. A poster has to be displayed. Now, how many organizations are really doing that, right? And I'm not only talking about the event industry. Even if you take any industry at large, how many do they really have that poster in place? So everything is there in terms of policies. There are laws which have been established. Everything is there on paper. If you want to take the route of the court, you want to go a certain route, you can do it. But having in reality, what is happening, how can we bring that from, from paper to reality, that transition? How do you think that can happen? How can we make that mind shift change, or what? So I will ask you, how many of us do really have that zero tolerance policy displayed at our offices? I don't know how many. So that's,
Yeah.
so I'm glad Wishcraft is doing it. Thank you, Niyati. I think that, and you have also taken a step, as you mentioned, right? So these are very small things, probably, which don't look that important, but will give the courage to the other person to come forward. So, Prerna, I'm going to ask you this. So how do you think, how you can make that from paper to reality? How can that shift happen? By
Yeah. So like Aarti said, it's not about zero tolerance only to disrespect to women. We have a zero tolerance to disrespect to anyone. So in our 10 commandments of value canvas, as TWD values, we have respect for individuals. So that's not compromised anytime. It is, we say that if anytime, whether it's vendors, whether it's co-partners, anyone, there is respect for each other. And that's the key value for theme viewers. So I say that if we put that in our value canvas, seeing, how can we respect each other? Also, going back to what Aarti said from the education system, I think when we were brought up, there were not many co-eds. I still remember how my husband rather said that we would put our kids only in a co-ed because then people are used to, like, the male and the female gender grow up together and they treat each other as equal. They say that, they see each other as equal. It's not one against each other. They are friends. So if there is a party, it's not a party for girls and boys. Now it's a party, and it can be all together. So I think even the education system being more co-ed will help. So what we are trying to say again and again, I think, at the panel, is that it's about just being equal, just being, just growing with each other. Being as partners, friends, everything. It's not, when you're in a professional environment, you're not different, or when you're friends, it's not different. Your friends as guys and girls are same. Your colleagues who are girls and guys are same. It's not to be treated differently. So we are rather saying to ingrain it, like what Aarti said is really right, to ingrain it in the value system, staying from the beginning, from the education, from the culture, that we are, how do we coexist with each other? It's not about zero tolerance to only disrespect to women. It's zero tolerance to disrespect, and that as an industry we need to put to everyone. How can we disrespect vendors just because they're working with us? I'm going a little off, but I'm saying if we put as a value system saying respect for all, and that's how we say, because as soon as you say zero tolerance, we're already putting an idea in someone's head.
Prerna, you're totally right. I understand where you're coming from. And, I think what happens really is we people have been a little privileged. I think I count myself in it. We probably can't even think from, people who are coming from places like an unorganized, say, okay, since we are a little off topic, I'm just going to go a little off topic here. But, women working in the farms, right? They probably don't even know what it means to be harassed or what is unequal. It is for them, it is this is how they were brought up, right? That thought also doesn't come. And inequality in women, when it comes, it's not about just, yes, it will make a major difference, if you have a co-ed school and everything, but then you have co-education all across the world, and women all across the world still face inequality. This is the kind of patriarchy that is ingrained in the system, which obviously requires a change. Yes, same thing as, Black Lives Matter. It's we believe that all lives matter, but then, that time it is pertinent. The topic was because the black have been so much pressured down, that it was about, you get this system out of the place. So I respect your sentiment. I totally agree with what you are saying, but I believe we still need to I mean, since we all have not been in that place, probably it's a little difficult for us to be in that, put ourselves in that place and think. But yes, these changes of respect, I totally agree with. They should be there. And if they are put across, they will bring about a major change. So thank you, Prerna, for that. And Tabassum is back. So I'm going to ask this question now to Tabassum. So Tabassum, we have been talking about what has been happening in the system. Now, from a female perspective, let me ask you this. Okay, I think this was even a topic, this was a part of the topic which was sent to all of us. Now, what we feel is that, okay, there are two questions or two parts to this question. The first is, what happens is when a female comes forward, right? There's obviously that thing about, oh, how will I be perceived? If women are talking about women, then they're labeled as feminists, right? When the Me Too movement came, then, oh, she's the Me Too girl, So there's always a label which is attached to us. Now, you know how there is a saying that, every woman knows a harasser, but no man knows a harasser. It's like a boy club thing. They will, just keep everything inside. As far as women are concerned, they are always afraid that if we come forward, we will be labeled, or by default, we will be put out of the system. People will not want to work with us. So how does one create that thing? Or for example, if somebody just comes up and says, this person, XYZ person has done something with me, there is also something which is known as a personal bias, which I am guilty of it myself. I will say, oh, I know this person, that person is not capable of doing such a thing, right? Or probably if I have a different notion about that person, I will say that, oh, that person is very well capable of doing this, whatever you are telling me. How can we keep those personal biases aside? So there are two questions. One is, how can women come forward and not be afraid? Or how can that environment, do you think, a mindset, once again, a mindset change that can be created so women can come forward, not be worried about labels, not be worried about whether they will get a job further ahead in the industry, whether they will be respected in the industry? And second, how can we keep these personal biases aside and let whoever is coming forward, men or women, right, and they can come out and just say their piece peacefully?
First of all, sorry, I've been in and out, so I couldn't catch a lot of the conversation. But coming to your question about what can we do in terms of creating the right environment, I think, I mean, each one of us can do it in our own small ways in our own organizations. I don't think we can do it as an industry per se, from a larger point of view. But yeah, of course, creating that safe space for people to come and say whatever they're facing, whether it is sexual harassment, whether it's professional harassment, or any kind of unsafe feeling that they are having, giving them the right stage to come and express themselves. And I think the only way one can establish that is when they see an example of something else that has happened before them and how the organization dealt with it. That's when the person can get some confidence that, okay, I will also be treated fairly, or I will not be I will not be slotted as a certain type of person. So you have to only lead by example. You have to make sure that every case is dealt with sensitively, and you give the confidence to your team that you're approachable, the organization is going to support you. And in terms of keeping away the personal biases, the best way to do it is actually to have a few people involved in the process. And like we have in our companies also, there is a panel that actually sits in on such kind of discussions. But so then personal biases stay out of it, because everybody has different perspectives to it. But the idea is to look at it neutrally. We in fact even have an external member on our panel, so not related to the company at all and does not know the people in the company and cannot have a personal bias. So those kind of things, I think all of us put in as systems in the process. But I think the most important part of it is to give the employee, or to give the person, the assurance that they will not be slotted or branded as a particular type, and that they can in all confidence bring up their issues. I think that is the biggest problem that we face. It's not that whether as an industry we feel safe or not. All industries are the same, give or take, here and there. In fact, we are blessed in our industry to have almost 50% workforce being women, and have people watch our backs. And being largely an entrepreneurial led industry, all of us value culture of our organization so strongly, and we are so we've defined our cultures in a certain way. So we're not like really large MNCs that we have no clue what's happening in our companies. All of us know what's happening. We're fairly small still, as individual companies or and as an industry. So we are more in tune with our people. So I think these are all the pluses that we have as an industry. Having said that, it's not that, I mean, there are unsafe situations that women, men both are in, and we should encourage them to come out a lot more. I feel. I think that's the problem. The bigger problem is that there is some amount of hesitance in coming out and talking about it. Yeah, so I think that keep making the right environment is definitely helpful.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tabassum. And now coming to something which is like we all are a part of industry, which we all love. Of course, EMA is there as an apex body. We have two VPs right here. And I think I will be asking, and both of you come from, the place where there are weddings, and weddings actually require like 24 hours, 24/7 work. Most of the work is happening and the weddings are continuing at night. And also even for that matter, the corporate. So as an industry, as a body, what are we doing? Besides, we obviously have a body which is called e-care, we-care, which is taking care of these things. But what are the things that industry is doing to make the environment more safe? So let me ask this to both, because North and West both are here, and rest we'll assume are doing the same thing. So yes, so let's start with you, Prerna.
So yeah, for WeCare, we're working with Poonam very closely, and there are initiatives which are happening. Poonam is a pillar of strength for anything to do with women empowerment, women leadership, and I think she's so fabulous that we've quite let her head this, and we are basically there for discussions, and we're doing something this next coming week also, which I think Aarti will announcing very soon, right?
Yes, we've just announced on our groups. Yes.
Yes, so we just now. Sorry, I've been a little not in sync, but yeah, we've been talking from last 1 week, and we're doing something which you can see, and it's again around mentorship, around empowering more than anything, more than protecting, is about empowering women. Okay, so that's a streak we're taking, and we're saying that we're empowering women, and we're mentoring women to make sure that they build up their career, they build up their personalities in a certain way, so that these kind of situations can be avoided. And of course, like the right culture in the company, wherein we say that is respect both the genders, and we build a cohesive environment to work. So these are the initiatives. Aarti, please do add on to more.
Sure. So, like Prerna said, Poonam Lal has been there even before we came into EMA as office bearers or whatever. So, she's been there involved with this cause from the grassroots level, and she's at the realm of everything. In fact, in the pandemic, there are about 500 odd calls that WeCare got. Which Poonam and her friends and some of the network pro bono, counselors, advisors, etc., handled, and these calls were from men and women alike. In fact, there were lots of male counterparts from our industry who called to seek help, and not just help on harassment, on what the situations were caused by pandemic. Some of them had lost jobs, some of them had strained relationships, some of them had entrenched financial issues and whatnot. So covering all of that. So that's happening at that level with utmost confidentiality, which is one. Second, we are trying to find roads towards mentorship. So Poonam has just developed under WeCare a program which is mentorship. So there will be a mentee and mentor who will support each other as and when they need. So everyone can go and freely be encouraged to ask for advice, ask for help as and when they need, and will be promised complete confidentiality on that. The third thing that we are doing, like I told you earlier and shared on this panel also, that it's not just about cases related to harassment or gender unbiased. We're also concerned and trying to have a broad outlook on the overall well-being of the professionals that we are first, and then the man and women that we are. So under well-being, we are trying to do a lot of things, which is including encouragement, including a dialogue, including mentorship, including getting some panel discussion at the end of this week, which we are doing with some of the national leaders also. I can't reveal the name right now, but yes, that's in process. We've just launched a program wherein every agency, every member agency is supposed to nominate a lady, female working colleague in the organization, in their organizations, who they feel is, deserves the title of an inspiring story and express their qualities that really make a difference to their organization. And this 1 week, which all the members will actually nominate their female working colleagues, and from there we will choose a jury is put together, and they will choose which are the success stories or which are the inspiring stories that can be let out. This is just very, very recent. Just 5 minutes ago, we just put it all out in the groups and with the members. So there is a lot happening. Let me also add, EMA or no EMA, or even across industries, I would say wherever women and men are in the wherever they're subjected to something that is not very healthy for them, mental, emotional health, on the basis of any bias, not just gender. I think what we need to really do is we need to just have an environment, like everybody's emphasizing on it. We need to have a culture. We need to have an openness. We need to be sensitive towards each other, including man, women, and even other genders. That how we are sensitive towards all possible genders, and how we are accommodating their needs that may arise from time to time, and making that a part of our systems and workplaces, so to say. Like if I may say here, we need to have a baby feeding room along with the boardroom. We need to have a if we have a pool table and a gymnasium, we could probably also have a small area or an attendant who could look after kids. And we need to allow for men and women both to come in, probably bring in their children if they want to, if they have to, or even if they just desire simply to have the child around. And that doesn't need to be looked upon as that, oh my God, he's not an alpha male. He's somebody who's so soft and he's a hands-on parent. That needs to be, those trends need to evolve. They need to come on board. And that needs to be like the cooler stuff that the industry is doing. When we have this culture, automatically a lot of work will sort of be done in the direction that we are headed. So these are a few bits. Like I said, I want to call it well-being, a complete holistic well-being of the person.
Thank you, Aarti, and thank you, Prerna. Of course, that's a lot of sense. And I would say that, okay, this is now not as a moderator, but just as a person who has been a part of the industry and has dealt with all of you at some level or the other. I think women today are coming out and supporting each other much more, bringing in these policies, bringing in these changes, which are making it very happy place for people to work in. I just still a lot of changes need to happen because we are obviously a small percentage of people who are working towards this and are literally empowered in the sense of it, not just because they're doing a job, they're labeled as empowered. So I think when these changes come forward, these things are ingrained in the system, things will start changing. Okay, now I'm going to talk as as an artist, and Niyati, I have this question for you. Okay, so I have dealt with this on a personal thing. So, okay, so as a woman, I like to wear all kinds of clothes. Let me just put that disclaimer in place. It can be the shortest, it can be very skimpy, it can be glamorous, whatever you want to call it. But what happens is when we are called for an event, and this comes from the client, I know it doesn't come really from an event agency, but it happens that, okay, certain times I have not been chosen, which is perfectly okay, or other artists have not been chosen, only basis that, oh, these are not the clothes, the kind of clothes that will work. So I'm happy to wear whatever you want me to wear for an event, right? And now this is also, I'm talking from a women's perspective, but it cannot define my work. It cannot be the criteria of judging how I deliver on stage. If it was just, okay, this is your attire, this is what it needs to be. And similarly, it's not just for me as an MC, it is also there for artists, it is there for Bollywood actors. I've seen that firsthand. How do you deal with this? And how, I know at the end of the day, we all believe client is the king, the god, whatever you want to call it. There are people who have stood up and said, no, certain things are not acceptable. How do you deal with this? And how can we make a change that will be for the better? So Niyati, that's for you.
So, Sanchali, I've had very, very few cases. God has been extremely kind, that we haven't really had clients who expected us to change our entertainers and talent because of a certain dress. That has been really nice. But very rarely we've had one or two such instances, and we've put our foot down and we've explained our point to the client that, you know what, let's come to a common ground, and let's not, not choose a talent because of something so trivial as a clothing. The idea is to make sure that you have a great show. So trust us to give you a good show with a certain kind of clothing or a different kind of clothing. Doesn't matter. Clothes don't really matter. It's the performer on stage. And like I said, we've been kind that the clients have listened to us. So we've not had too many instances. But How do you change that? Sanchali, that's a point not only for you, for all girls, women
For
across,
everyone.
that you have to be Roman in Rome. So, if there is a certain environment that we Indians live in, then at some point women have to kind of be in a little bit of a thinking stage, versus where if you are in the Western world, because you know what, it's a problem across the world. It's not
Correct.
that women in India face
No.
any kind of scare or issues or concerns. It's a woman who faces it across. But you need to also protect yourself, and to protect yourself, if you are able to carry yourself in a certain cloth or a material in a very comfortable way, which women do, then you're okay. But most women are also uncomfortable with what they wear, and therefore that uncomfort shows on your face and your entire the way you carry yourself, and therefore that shows to men, and therefore they really take advantage of that fact. So it's really up to you. You show your confidence, and they will not even come close to you. But you show a little bit of discomfort, and they kind of catch a whiff of it. So it's
No, I
it's all
agree with
about
you.
your confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you that it is the discomfort. A person who's not comfortable in what they are wearing, obviously it shows. But Niyati, you have, as I said, you have been blessed. Somehow not many people have been.
Yes.
Your clients have been nice. I have had good clients. I have very good events with Bizcraft, no doubt about that. But then again, it's not just about
We
us, right?
also
We have.
put our foot down, Sanchali. We don't stand for
I
such
am glad. That's why
nonsense.
working with.
Really, it's not okay. And me being a woman, if I'm going to stand for this thing, then there's no point. If I can't help my fellow ladies, then
Hmm.
what's the point?
No, I have had great experience working with all of you. Let me say that. But then we have an industry at large where our people are not like, not everyone is like you, probably, right? There are other agencies who will probably, end of the day, everyone wants their client, right? It doesn't matter. I'm just saying there is like
No,
something
Sanchali, it
right here.
matters. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It
Yes,
matters. We're not going
please.
to
It
put up with
matters.
such nonsense. It does matter. Don't say it doesn't matter.
We
It
say
does
no
matter.
to our clients. I'm pretty certain all of these ladies have said no to their clients at some point and said, I don't want to work with you. I'd rather
I
have
don't even
our
want to pass
dignity.
it off by saying it doesn't matter. It does matter.
Yes,
It
I,
does
I
matter. I
agree.
can see
Totally
your
agree.
okay, so it does
No, we
matter.
have
I
given up
agree with you.
clients. If it has reached to a
I have
point,
given up
then we have
shows,
also
so I
given
know
up the
this.
client.
I
We
have
have
given
given
up
up the
shows.
client also.
Yes, because it's the thing is I've seen in, okay, there are clients who are like, who even decide on a certain set of clothes. I'll talk about dancers, and I've once again seen this firsthand. They will decide basis their perception, how they want to create a certain, now the new word is glamour instead of any other word, hot and everything, because that sounds a little more sophisticated. So they say, yeah, bring her in the most glamorous clothes. The performer will come forward, and once they realize that the crowd is going really crazy, because you know what kind of audience it is, right? And then they're like, oh, cover them up, bring them other clothes. I mean, dude, you are hiring them for a certain object, right? Which is your objective, which should be that they bring out a great performance, they go along with the theme, they bring out the oomph which is required. I understand, but you can't ask them to wear literally nothing and be on stage. And then once they are like that, so there is a huge disparity in this. So Aarti, since you are questioning, saying it's not okay, how do you think, how can this be handled? What advice do you have for people and agencies, I will say? And this I question is for everyone. So it is there in corporates, it is there in private industry. I have seen it, that this is experience. So I think everyone, we are be it like even as a client servicing person for that matter, I'm sure people face this in the industry. So how do you handle that? What is your suggestion? Aarti, Tabassum,
So,
yes.
Sanchali, our clothes, your and mine together. I mean, you're not different. At one level we are the same. So
Correct.
your clothes, your age, your body type, all these things do not define us. If we strongly believe in that, if I strongly believe in that for myself, and protect myself against such stupidity and senseless, baseless thoughts, then I can very well protect anybody who's on my show. In fact, it's a little funny that हमारे wedding वाले जो clients होते हैं, they are always the opposite. I'm sure Prerna will relate to it. They're like, आप जरा ध्यान देना, सबके कपड़े
Ah,
वपड़े ठीक ठाक हो. So it's very funny. But I know this happens a lot when there are corporate events, etc., conferences, that dealer meets and all that happen. But to be honest, like I said, I think I'm blessed with a convincing power. I know how to navigate my conversations and get across with them without even, in most of the cases, I didn't have to lose a client for this, to be honest. But having said that, if it came to that, I would be happy to lose him or her. And what we have to see is we have to have a mid path. We have to tell them, okay, you want a glamorous look, leave it to us what to do. But you cannot define in inches and centimeters and what is to be worn and what colors and how and what. Because that you need to respect us because we are the first player. And then we need to respect our choice of the artist or anchor or whoever it is performing that night to be able to be a good judge of that. All the client can do is give us a brief, and they can make us they can give us an understanding of the event, what kind of audience it is, what's the nature, what is the occasion. Beyond that, I think we are the people who master the art of curating everything, and I'm definitely sure that all of us can handle what clothes and what appearance and what outlook the person has to have. So I would stop it over there, and I know how to do it. I can't explain it
Knowing
beyond
you,
this.
you could just tell the client, knowing you how you are. So I'm glad, and I hope there are more people in the industry who can come forward and do this. What about you,
No, I
Tabasum?
don't think, yeah, I don't think it's such a big deal really. And honestly, I don't think clothes define safety or not safety of women. Uh, I mean, that is it. If a particular kind of a show needs whatever it needs, there is a way to deal with it. Even being in the most safest environment, I mean, you could be wearing short clothes and still feel extremely safe. It's up to us to provide that environment for the artist or for the client or for the audience, whoever. So we just need to put it together really well. I don't think it's something that just because the client is asking for someone to wear a short dress, that doesn't mean that that person is going to be unsafe in that environment. If that's the need of the show, then that's the need of the show. We have to work a way around it. And I don't think it's something that on which a show can be lost or a client will be lost. I mean, there's always a way to work around it.
Agreed. Okay. Coming now to another one. I think we have 15 more minutes to go, so I'll have a few more questions right here. Okay, I will just say another thing which is coming back from wherever we started. Do you think, okay, this is more on the moral ground, a question on the moral ground, which probably will help people, will not help people, I don't know, but I'm going to leave it to you guys to answer this. So social media has become a platform because everyone is on social media, and we are like, somehow it has become by default that we have to give our opinions and verdicts about whatever anything is happening immediately, right? Cases like what happened in the case of maybe Nirbhaya or Jessica, right? Jessica Lal, whatever happened. People didn't know who Jessica Lal was. They didn't know who the perpetrator or the victim was, right? So everyone was demanding something which is okay. So there are two questions. I've mixed them up. Let me start with this. So Nirbhaya and Jessica Lal cases, these are some of the cases which happened where people didn't know who the perpetrator is or victim personally, right? So only thing that was demanded in this case was justice. Everyone just came out for justice, right? This is a question which I had asked earlier also about keeping the personal biases aside. Now, how can we just give the importance to justice and keep the cause aside? Oh, I'm sorry. Think about the cause and not think about who, what, where. Justice becomes the main importance for all of us, and that is what we fight for, so that women in general can come forward and be safe in their work environments. Second is, as in terms of being on social media, we feel that, including me, we feel the pressure that, okay, we just have something is happening around, something very important is happening in the world today, so I need to give my verdict on that. By default it happens, right? Do you think by giving our opinion without even knowing the story or waiting for the whole story to happen, our narrative is kind of already giving a judgment which needs to wait? Do you think that we can do something, we should do something, or is it the right way to do it? I mean, I know this is a moral question, but I'll let you answer this. So let's start with maybe Prerna.
So Charlie, like you said, justice. Of course, personal biases have to be kept aside, and I'll rather go to the industry because it's an industry specific panel right now, and I will answer your question in terms of there have been cases where I will not like to name right now, but there have been cases where both sides were our friends. Okay.
Yeah.
People who had filed the case and people who were accused were our friends, and actually we were asked to choose one. Okay. uh, Before deciding on and we were confused which is right, what is right, and which side to take. I think it is instead of just taking opinions from everyone else, I think at least in the industry makes sense, call both the parties, understand from each party what happened, if you know both of them, before taking sides, before saying that this is what I decide because I've heard from everyone. Okay,
Yeah.
talk to both the sides, and then see that what do you think is right, and always follow what you think is right by the end, because there can be two sides to each story. And of course, no, and being the fact that frankly no women will like to come and put up a case if it doesn't exist. It takes a lot of courage, guys. It takes a lot of courage to kind of voice their opinion already. And so our natural instinct will be towards,
Correct.
going towards saying that, this should be true. But in case we still would want to talk, it's open. So we are all going towards having a conversation around it, because right now it becomes such a big thing and so hush hush in the industry that we don't even want to speak about it. So if there's an incident, can we actually all of us uh, pick up a call and talk to up the people who are involved in it? So I'm saying, and then decide, and then say this is right, and I am sticking to this, and this is what I'm going to fight for. That's what I personally feel I would be doing.
Thank you very much, Prerna. I'll have to unfortunately wind up. I thought it's 5:30, but it's 5:20. I'm getting a message. That's what I was reading. But Prerna, thank you. I think that is the right. Aarti, I know you wanted to say something probably, but I'll have to wind up here. Otherwise, I'll get a beating from the EVENTFaqs team. So, so I just wanted to wind up by saying that, yes, Prerna, you're absolutely right. And probably if we can follow that approach, that will make a major difference. It becomes difficult from a moral perspective to take sides, but then at the end of the day, one has to be their own judge. Having said that, thank you very much to all you lovely ladies. It has been a very invigorating conversation, and I believe that thanks to all of you in the industry, thank you for being that pillar of support. Thank you for being those mentors who have come forward, made those changes, made sure women feel safe. And thanks to you, I have had a great environment to work in, and I'm sure the same is the feeling for everyone else. Yes, a lot of changes still need to happen, but I'm sure with the way things are working out, with the way the bodies have been created, the policies have been created, this change will not take much time. And I hope we women as women can always support each other and come forward. And men in the industry who have been supporting us, a huge thanks to all of you. I'm sure that without your support, we couldn't have done this without your support as well. So thank you very much. And once again, wishing everyone a very, very happy Women's Day. And believe me or not, but if we are not 100% safe right now, we definitely are moving in that direction. Thank you very much.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
guys.
Bye.
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 Thank you so much, Sanchali, for bringing the best out of the lovely ladies. Thanks again, once again, Aarti Matu, Niyati Vora, Prerna Saxena, Tabassum Modi, for that very, very insightful discussion. It said, I like being a woman in a man's world. After all, men can't wear dresses, but women can definitely wear the pants. But is it really a man's world? Food for thought. Keep that thinking cap on as we now introduce our second panel. An important issue of mentoring in the event industry is going to be discussed by the second panel. Now, Ms. Aarti Matu spoke a little about it in our first panel. She touched upon this topic, but let's discuss it at length. How can women find the right mentors and become mentors themselves? To talk on this topic, I'm going to invite some leading names in the event industry, all super achievers in their own right. Let's introduce our panel. First up, a woman who is designed with an unstoppable spirit. She is an app. She sets the bar so high, and she is such an inspiration to so many. Geetika Ganjudhar, anchor, actor, communication coach, and founder, Ministry of Talk. A woman well placed to talk about mentoring with all the actual mentoring that she really does. We're also going to request her to lead this conversation. And our other panelist, Lydia Buthello, head of events, Geo World Center, who came up from scratch in the industry, donned many hats, and now spearheads all planning and execution for large-scale events across the board for Reliance. Poonam Lal, MD Marketing Solutions and Chair CSR, We Care Initiatives, Ema, who has come from a small town and built her company, taking it to new heights with quality work and defining strategies for marquee brands. Reema Sangvi, MD Maximus Mice, Media Solutions co-founder Pinkathon. She believes good delivery comes from years of experience as she goes about creating exemplary productions and events at Maximus. And also Sushma Gaikwad, co-founder ICE Global and Wizcraft MIME, experiential communication specialist, leadership coach, dedicated educationist, and one of the first few women who joined the event industry. Over to you, Gitika, to start this conversation with your own perspective.
Happy Women's Day to everyone out there. Yay, I'm in the show. Okay. Thank you. So to start with, very happy Women's Day to everyone out there. And coincidentally, the theme of Women's Day this year, as marked by United Nations, is Women in Leadership Achieving an Equal Future in COVID-19 World. And we had a very interesting panel early in the morning talking about this very thing. And now this is another panel here about a very, very important topic, mentoring. Now, I've been given this responsibility to do the opening comments of this panel. I hope I do justice with all the ace, towering women with me on this panel. I'm delighted to be with them on the same panel. Female mentoring really is the mentoring of, of women by women to further their career and development prospects. And a female mentor, many of you would know, is sometimes called a femtor, like a gladiator, a femtor. Now, women mentoring women is very important. Men and women both have a very natural desire for community building, but women have very distinct obstacles, very distinct obligations, and very distinct aspirations. We bring a very unique perspective to supporting and building female communities within our organizations. It's particularly vital to female advancement in organizations or industries where few women have leadership roles. We typically measure success by what many consider to be masculine qualities, but I believe we could all benefit from celebrating feminine leadership attributes more than we really do. Women face different challenges than men and therefore have unique needs in the workplace. So it's crucial to understand these needs in order to ensure that women don't have to make grand personal sacrifices to succeed in their careers. Additionally, I believe that women leaders have a responsibility to use their power to lift other women up. Why? Because mentored women are statistically more successful in the workplace than non-mentored women. Yeah, that's what the figures say. They rise to positions of power more quickly with fewer roadblocks than women who don't have a mentor. But having said that, me and my co-panelists, we all decided that we would not just talk about women mentoring women, we would also somewhere in this conversation talk about gender neutral mentoring. That's my cup of tea for the evening. I can't. Thank you. So let me start by giving a very nice example of how Steve Jobs mentored Mark Zuckerberg. For those of you who know about this, Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg, the two are said to have taken long walks around Palo Alto discussing how Zuckerberg might manage and develop Facebook as an entrepreneurship. This was way back in 2011 when Steve died, and how Mark expressed his grief and shared to the world what a big void his life now had with his mentor gone. Another very beautiful example of mentor-mentee is, this is my favorite one, Maya Angelou and Oprah Winfrey. Can you imagine? I mean, there is this giant of a woman, Maya Angelou, and with such a large heart, she mentors probably the women's most loved speaker, the world's most loved speaker ever, Oprah Winfrey. And by mentoring Oprah, Maya just becomes even greater because what she's given the world is such a fantastic piece of human. So let's all get cracking and talking about mentoring. Let's start with women to women and then also get into a gender neutral debate. I'm going to throw this open with one very interesting quote that I kind of picked out here from the net, which says there's a special place in hell for women who don't help and mentor other women. Madeline Albright. So with those words, I'm going to hand this over to one of my most favorite women professionals out there. She's also a good friend. Lydia Buthello, Head of Events, Geo World Center. We're coming into you.
Thank you so much, Deepika. First, I'd like to take this opportunity to appreciate all the hard work, all the fights that you overcome in a day-to-day life and stand strong to fight another day with no regret, no intention of giving up. And that makes me look up to all of you guys. And that says Happy Women's Day. But what's more important to me today is that women need to support women. And like Gitika rightly said, I think that's I don't know if there's a special place in hell for women who don't support other women, but I'd like it to be. Unfortunately, we stand here and celebrate ourselves as women, but we look at when we look at ourselves and we look at other women, sometimes we judge them, without even considering what their struggles are. But we think our struggles are better and or worse than the others, unfortunately. And most women today are hesitant to reach out to another woman because they fear being judged far more than being judged by a man, I must say. And talking about mentorship, today I'd like to believe that a true mentor is not only taking up a couple of women and putting them under your wing and trying to sort of get them to mentor, but it's on general look at every woman and put ourselves out there in their position and look at our own struggles and think that there is a difference or make a difference. So I saw that, very strangely today, everybody's been putting up posts on social media. And one of my really good friend, very, accomplished individual, put up this post who she thanked all her mentors for being who she is. And you know what the strangest part was? There's not a single woman on that list. And that tells me a lot about where we are today. At the same time, the gap that we have as well. I have been blessed with some really amazing women that I've met on my way up here, but unfortunately, I met them much later in my life. A lot more evolved I was as well, a lot more grown up I was as well. But I feel that today we need to be there for the younger generation. And well, that's my start of the conversation and debate. So over to you, Poonam. I think.
Lydia, before our next speaker comes on, I have to add to what you just said, Lydia. I've been here for 22 years and my mentors have only been men. And it's not that I don't know great women out there. I have some women who are my closest friends who are just fantastic women. But all throughout my career, I've only been mentored by men. Isn't that strange? Yeah. Can we take on the conversation, have someone else from the panel now?
I think Poonam, I was.
Yes, we're going by the alphabet.
Alphabetical order. We are busy. Poonam Lal, Head of Marketing Solutions, and the Chair at We Care EMA. Poonam Lal, please.
Gitika, why are you being a moderator today? You're not a moderator today.
You're speaker today, Gitika.
Yeah, Lydia, I'm lucky.
Old habits die hard.
Lydia, I'm extremely lucky that though the mentorship came late for me in this industry, I have one of the mentors sitting right here who I hold responsible for changing a lot of things in me. And I can't thank Sushma enough for being this superwoman mentor in my life. And she kind of really took me under her wings and gave me so much confidence to do things that I've been wanting to do for this industry. So thank you, Sushma. I love you. Having said that, I feel that, very few women are in a position to be mentors. That's where this whole debate is, that women do not rise to the leadership position to be able to mentor the young ones who come in. And therefore, we need to look at a more inclusive mentorship panel so that both men and women are available to do so. And yes, the women can still mentor their teams. That's very important. I find a lot of young girls talking about the fact that they do not find support within their team, which is led by women a lot of times. So I think it's important to get that change, and I think that will come from educating them and giving them the confidence that by sharing knowledge you're really increasing it. And there is you kind going to be blessed that you grooming people to take forward a legacy that probably you have contributed to. So that's how I see it. And having said that, I think it is very critical that for women to succeed across industries, they have mentors available to them to guide them, to add value to their growth trajectory, and lead them or guide them with wisdom, knowledge, and experience. And so that they can soar, deliver great results, and reach the peak of their careers. I guess that's what I'd like to say. Oh, yeah, I can't, I have to take this opportunity to also say the only person who could actually, when I joined the event industry, I looked for mentors, but there weren't any. This is about nearly 15, 20 years back. And there was nobody who could teach me. And I was dying to find somebody who could give me that knowledge that I craved or the skill that I wanted to learn. There weren't many. And finally, I found one in Sabas. And I have never found a teacher more willing to teach, share knowledge so freely, and open opportunities or give you opportunities that wouldn't come your way normally, which is the role of a perfect mentor. And again, for that, I salute him. You need more men like him.
You know, Poonam, it's not just you. I think you, me, Sushma, all three of us have Sabas Joseph in common as a mentor. I think it's Rima next up, Rima Sangvi, MD Maximize. See, I'm still being moderator and founder Thinkathon.
No, but thank you, and well said, Poonam. I mean, you're so right about the fact that, even when I entered the event industry, I don't know if I found a mentor, but I learned whatever I did from Sushil Shamlal Vatma. So I want to thank him today. I want to start by thanking him that, I started my career in events with him, and I learned what I learned from him and Beju Gariba. So both of them are together. And yes, and of course, Sabas Joseph, our common factor.
I think he's the common factor between everybody.
Yes, absolutely. And Sushma. Sushma's been a friend and a soulmate, So I think, Sushma, you too, in my life, have played a very, very important role. But, I think, Lydia, taking from where you left it, there are very few female mentors. But I honestly feel that, mentors, male, female, I don't think that really matters. I think someone whom you connect with, who gives you time, or whether you can snatch some time away from them, maintains your confidentiality, is able to comprehend what you're trying to say, is able to give you that push in life, is able to inspire you at every stage of your life, is able to listen to your problems and give you the right advice, is a mentor. So whether a male or a female, and where you find your comfort is where you need to go. It doesn't matter, male, female. I think, if female mentors are not, if there are not many, is because we are not rising up to that role. So if we need up our game, we need to get more knowledgeable. We need to show and portray the knowledge that we need to portray. And we need to show that, yes, we can be those mentors. So whether we select man or woman, doesn't matter. It's who you are comfortable with and where your soul lies and what is going to take you that many steps ahead and what inspires you. So yeah, that's my take on mentorship for sure. And there are people at every stage of your life who is going to affect you, and every stage will have a mentor. So I just think we need to pick and choose, and it could be anybody, male, female, doesn't matter. But if females are not there, and if we feel that, then we need to up our game for sure.
Absolutely. I think that's the point I was trying to make as well, because I've had amazing mentors. Like I said, I've had a mix of both and later on in my stage of life. But the point I was making is that till date, it's I think barring Shushma here, who has been there, but very few people have been lucky to have a Shushma in their life. And that's the point I'm making, because there's no that part which you rightly said, which was the comfort. And the comfort of going to another woman, which unfortunately is not there. That's why I mean, women supporting women. Unfortunately, in the world that we are in, we have the mother-in-law syndrome, that I call it. Sorry, Shushma, I'm taking away your time, but just wanted to say that it's often we both mother-in-law treating daughter-in-law very badly, and then when you become the mother-in-law, instead of being the other person to start looking at them and saying that, oh, I was in these shoes before, you decide to treat the person the same way, which is unfortunately the way of the world right now. And I feel that's where we need to come in and change, and that's why I feel that we need to look at ourselves, which you're right about. And that's it. Shushma, sorry.
No, it's absolutely wonderful, first of all, to hear everyone. So I'm not going to allow Gitika to introduce me, because I do not want her to be a moderator here. So Gitika, thank you for doing it till this moment, but we'll handle it, okay? So, well, my name is Sushma. I'm the co-founder of ICE Global. Huh?
Gitika empowered us to do our thing.
Yeah, she's my sweetheart.
Just to tell you all, I was told to do it.
Yeah. No. We want you. I'm mentoring you to tell you that you don't need to do it. We'll do it ourselves. So, I'm the co-founder of ICE Global and Westcraft Mind, and I have just a simple take on mentorship. What is mentorship? Let's just understand that fundamentally. Mentorship very simply means guidance. And I think, number one, our job or our pivotal role as entrepreneurs, and we so happen to be women entrepreneurs. Yeah, I don't want to take a gender spin on this. As entrepreneurs, it's our role to guide. Now, who do we guide? We guide our employees, our teammates. We also, many times, we also guide industry leaders, seniors who have been walking the path ahead of us, with our perspective, with our insight. Many times there is a lot of peer-to-peer guidance also that we can really embark on to make a difference out there. And there is another level of guidance, which is for those who possibly are looking at a future in the industry. That is the new entrants in the industry. Now, when we're guiding everyone, it's very important for us as mentors to understand, what are we guiding them on? We're guiding them on maybe a path that we've already walked, with insight, experience, and understanding. But I would feel most important, we're guiding them on the potential that they can be, that they don't see in themselves. And I think once we understand that as the core fundamental of mentorship of any kind, whether it's in the event industry, media industry, television industry, any logistics industry, if we understand that, what we've really got to understand is our role as mentors. And when we take on that role, the biggest benefit that there is as a role as a mentor is that we can impact the industry positively. We can shift the narrative of the industry positively. We can make such a big difference by enabling someone else to actually reach their potential. I know it sounds like a FB slogan, yet I think that is critical. And I think we need to, all of us, take under our wings as many people as we possibly can to mentor. But more important, I really feel, is something that is very prevalent in corporate India, which have really been doing many workshops and been really propagating this conversation, and that is called reverse mentoring, where we should be open to what the next generation is mentoring us on. Because when there is reverse mentoring that really happens, the whole I know it all syndrome is completely eradicated, and the learning happens on both ends of the spectrum. And that is when the industry can truly grow. When we start listening to each other, generation next and generation before start really discussing best practices, start discussing challenges, start discussing the way forward, I think that's when we can really make a difference. So I'm really not going to go into the gender thing, but since all of you have mentioned, I got to mention my first mentor because of who I am today. She excavated me from the shell that I was in. Her name is Zareen Khan. I was only 17 years old when I joined her as a stenographer, and in 3 years, she developed me into a full-fledged interior decorator. And then when I joined the industry, event industry, in 1993, it was Andre Veroff and Subhas who actually guided me, one of my pillars in actually making a big difference in this industry. And they still continue to guide me, and I'm forever grateful. And all of you guys, my peers, I learn a lot from you, from Gitika, from Rima, from Lydia. Lydia, our coffee is still pending. And from Poonam. Lydia, you're on my mentorship list, okay, for that coffee. And my Poonam, because you guys have taught me so much. You've taught me, each of you have taught me so much, and I'm so happy to keep learning. So that's my 2.5 bits. Back to you, Gitika.
So, we can take this conversation forward. My suggestion here, ladies, is that there are 3 C's of mentoring. I was talking to Poonam earlier. The 3 C's of mentoring really being counseling, consulting, and cheerleading. And I'd like to share with you my life experience of how I have managed to weave the 3 into mentoring. So a few years ago, when I felt that I had, in my career, reached a point where, I could open my heart, be large-hearted, and give back to the industry that has given me everything that I have professionally. And I really, really, from the bottom of my heart, I felt that I owed it. It was my responsibility, because up ahead in the next few years, probably in say 3 or 4, 5 years, I will see my volumes falling in terms of business. I will gravitate towards doing more select number of shows, select kinds of events. I will still do it till I'm standing. I will still talk. But I've had such a great run that I just felt it was so important for me to get the next generation up and standing. And I've really, really honestly tried to do that over the last few years. As a mentor, I'm available to them 24/7, really, on WhatsApp, on calls, on emails. And there are hundreds and hundreds I have spoken, and I have this thing. So, it's a very tricky role to play, because as mentors, you tend to sometimes counsel and also then completely consult and give them solutions, and then also be a cheerleader where you don't need to be one, and you have to turn around and tell them that this is not really going too well. So over the time, I've honed my skills, and I'll have to give you an example. There is this young MC who lives in Bombay, and just the other day she called me and she said that I've been putting out certain kind of videos, and I'm expressing myself in all those reels and those video posts that I'm making, and I'm doing exactly what I want to with my body and my clothes and my gestures and all of that. And I'm now getting told that the men in the industry are saying that I'm desperate for work, and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And should I stop doing this because lest my work shuts down in corporate events? So I had been anyway noticing her videos for many months, and I had been keeping quiet. And I said, she has to live and learn. She has to live and learn. And when she came to me that day, I said, I'm not going to give you a solution. Okay. I'm going to tell you the pros and cons of this, but I still want you to take your own decision based on what I'm telling you in terms of pros and cons. I'm not going to tell you to do this and this will happen. Don't do this. This will not happen. So it's a very tricky process, mentoring. You can't spoon feed the people that you are playing mentor to. You have to let them, you have to let them go out there, make their mistakes, have their back, and when they recover and stand back on their feet, a big 3 cheers for them. So honestly, I have really tried over the last few years. And sometimes mentoring can also be a very emotionally distressing process where it backfires on you completely, where the very person that you mentor with a very pure heart turns around and, tries to deconstruct you or to take you down in other ways. So it's also a very tricky process, especially as an artist in our industry. But then you have to have a heart of steel, you have to have a very big heart, and you have to continue to bless everybody along the way, because this is what we have received from the industry, the number of blessings that we have received. So it's very different, I guess, Sushma, Reema, Poonam, Lydia, for you, because you're heading organizations. It's very different for me as an artist. In fact, I see Roshan Abbas. He's one of his professions only should be mentor. So he mentors people on a daily basis, and if you really look closely, he's really getting a lot out of it as a person. It's something that he does every day, and as a result, he has also given the industry so much of talent that is now, flowering, developing, rising. So, alongside when we mentor other people, let me tell you, conversations with a lot of MCs out there, I'm learning from them. They're doing some fantastic new stuff. They have new techniques. They have new technologies. They do try new stuff, and I'm greedy too. So I'm also learning from them. So it's actually a two-way street where even the mentor hones his or her skills of leadership, communication, empathy, all of that. What do you guys think?
I think lost her. Geetika?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Did you just finish?
Yes.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
But could you hear me while I spoke for 500 minutes?
Yeah. We did. Yes, we
You don't have to just.
Yeah, but I just want to, butt in there and tell you, that while you were mentoring the girl, did you not? You have to tell her the pros and cons, but one of the biggest aspects of mentorship is honesty and candidness. So I think that to tell her upfront what you thought as a mentor to her is very, very important, because that's when she will select.
No, I don't agree.
You don't agree? You feel that doesn't work?
No, I think when you spoil paper,
Geetika, your voice is echoing.
You guys carry on. I'll just put on my headphones.
Okay. Over to you, Lydia.
Oh, okay.
I'll be the moderator.
So my view was very simple.
There's echoing.
Yeah,
It's echoing, girls.
I think the whole studio is echoing.
Yeah.
The whole studio is echoing. This is like an echo point in Mahabaleshwar. Okay, it's better now. It's fine now.
Is it?
Okay. Yeah.
From my perspective, I think it's still good, right?
Yeah, it's still
Why don't you go ahead, Reema, and then I'll take it.
Can you guys hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Yes? No?
Yeah.
So, what I was trying to discuss with Geetika at that point of time is that honesty and candidness, from a mentor is so very important, because that then lays the path for you, right? It tells you that whether you're going right or wrong and what you're doing. And that's, to me, that is an important aspect of mentorship. But I think one of the important aspects is how we discuss as to what a new entrant in our business, in our industry, how does she find her mentor? I think one of the aspects that is that first, of course, you decide your area of interest. And once you establish whether it's servicing, operations, production, you then enlist, I think the right way to go about it is you enlist the top 10 guys or the ones that inspire you. And then, I think make time. But most important is, a lot of times, a lot of responsibility lies on the mentor. Is the mentee also trying to do as much? So she or he making enough checklists of how before selecting or making the right connection? Is the mentor really adding that much value to their life and is guiding the right way, is sharing the right knowledge. So a new entrant needs to ensure that probably there's a checklist of people that she needs to communicate, find out whether this is what inspires her absolutely, and then go right ahead and make these relations and make the efforts to gain the person as a mentor. Is the mentor giving enough and more time? Because that is crucial for our industry, right? I think the one thing that our industry does not have time, and because we're always on, is whether our mentor has the time. And that is a big aspect in selecting the right kind of mentor. So this is what I think that a new entrant in the industry should, focus on while selecting their mentor. Sushma or Lydia or Poonam. Whoever wants to go for them.
I'm going to try.
I would like to address this, but the problem is, talking to a lot of girls who've been putting up on the helpline. I keep using that as a reference. That's a learning point for me. A lot of girls feel that there is no mentorship available. They don't know how to find these mentors. How do they reach out to them? And what is the approach? Like, while the points as to what they require from the mentorship is clear, but the problem is there is no structured program in this industry where we have a mentorship program going on. So that's all the questions that came up from girls who called up the helpline is that there's nobody to guide them, there's nobody to tell them how to learn. So it is sorry, I'm going to take a little digression here, and this is what also resulted in my proposing that we do a WeCare mentorship program for girls and invite leaders like you to come and give time and allow them the opportunity to get trained by you and guided by you. But this is a huge problem. They do not know where to go looking for these mentors within the industry.
Which is where the gap is, right? The gap is that we need to launch a structured mentorship program. And
That's
I think
right.
you've taken a step ahead. Maybe you can throw some more light on that, because that will be really interesting for our audience.
May I just put my 2.5 bits in this? Just 2.5 pennies?
Actually, 5 bits in it.
Okay. So, I think we're overcomplicating the conversation. You know why? Because what is a mentor? A mentor is someone who guides you and has a personal relationship. It's very important. I don't know whether a mentorship program on a large scale really works. It is about providing access to these ladies, what Poonam was saying, all boys. I'm not only going to be, I'm not into women and men kind of vibe, to the next generation, yeah, giving them access to the right voices, giving them access to the right insight. What we like, where Poonam was talking about, it needs time. If you really do a hardcore mentorship program, there is time that is required from a mentor that is taking on a mentee and guiding the mentee throughout their career path. Well, I think the first stopgap is providing access to information to the prospective mentee. Another aspect is also where I feel that, bosses, reporting bosses, can play a very important role in being a mentor. Who was our first mentor? For example, Lydia, I'm sure your first mentor would have been your boss or someone within the organization that has guided you through that organization and enabled you to reach whatever goal they or you may have set for yourself, right? Now, within the organization, I think it's very important to shift the narrative. What happens in organizations is that, especially in our industry, is that industry leaders or the heads of the organization do not share enough of information, of growth prospects with people in their organization, with the fear that, "Arey, kabhi na kabhi ye to apna khud ka event agency chala lega," or will set up their own event agency, because every person is viewed on as a competitor. So I think it is not, sorry, I don't want to burst our bubble. It was a wonderful conversation. I think we're kind of overthinking it. I think we've got to take one step at a time. I think we've also got to shift our own narrative, our own concepts about what entrepreneurship is. I'm speaking merely as an entrepreneur. And we've got to influence the future gen through educative practices which will then go literally result in what Poonam was talking, the flying of a hardcore mentorship program. So I think it is more a 360-degree perspective rather than just funneling it down and let's run a mentorship program. Lydia, I hope your echo is sorted now.
I hope so too. Okay, so I'm going to take off from all the points that Rima, Gitika, and everybody said. A couple of things here. I think I'm from a different background from all of you guys, which has been largely corporate and corporate spaces. Sushma, on your point, no, not really. No, my mentors were not really existent inside the organization. I think that's one of my biggest points as well, that very rarely do you find in a corporate world a mentor. Today, it's become quite, one of those things where people take on people and then sort of mentor them and guide them. Unfortunately, mine was also a niche industry, right? So not everybody also knew what events was all about. So everywhere that I went, I was literally starting a events division in every company. So it was very difficult, to find those mentors within that space. The only thing that I got was a guidance on maybe trying to set up that department versus, how to go about it per se. So one of the points that I wanted to mention was that Poonam said as well, is that, a couple of times I've been, some of the people who reached out to me to sort of say, we want to talk to you. There's some guidance that I want to probably take. It took them 5 people to go via to come to me because they found me very intimidating. And they said that, we didn't realize that we could approach you directly, though we had a relationship. It was one-on-one, and it was so strange. And I was like, what did I say or do in that? I consider myself friendly and open and everything. And then it was just, but then I realized that in a corporate structure, it normally happens that there is this whole, unfortunately, layered communication that comes in. And there's a hierarchy that develops as well. So people are a little, hesitant. Besides that, also, what happens is anybody who's coming from the outside often tends to come to you also with an agenda sometimes, the agenda being that, I'd like you to be a mentor. And then it's like slowly, like, can you give me a job? Can you, it's more that. So then also what happens is then you tend to sort of hold yourself back on how do you mentor these people, because there is always, at least 95% of the people that have come and reached out to me after having these conversations, you really realize that ultimately they're just trying for a job. And, they're just slowly finally saying that, can you please can I join your team if that's the case? And that's how it goes. So, and I've always helped them to try and say that, okay, maybe you're suited for an event agency. I don't have openings and I'm trying to put you there. So I've helped a lot of people that way in that sense of it. But the point I'm making is that, unfortunately, I don't think so. There is all that process that we were talking about, right? And I think that's where, Poonam, you come in, is that, it's not about just bringing in all the women and saying that there's a pool of women to mentor and sort of do it. But I think there has to be a process to it as well, because then you're giving
structured.
Yeah, the structure, which is, something that I feel is missing in and organizations today. I can say that Star and various places where I've worked in, have started putting these mentor programs together where there are people who can go. But then you choose those mentors rightly, because there is a certain direction you want to go your life in. It was just not random. You can't go to a finance guy and say that I want to do events. It's just, it doesn't work. It's as simple as that. And most often people don't, like Shushma rightly pointed out, we are complicating things because people don't know the gamut of things that maybe somebody is whose life is, or their work structure is, or what are they mentoring in to be. So if I have to go and find myself a mentor, I'm going to struggle, because I'm going to look left. And what I mean is that, not that I don't know who I can go to, but I'm saying in a corporate structure, I'm going to be a little hesitant to understand which is the direction that I want to go in. Who should I go to? Is it a CEO? Is it a CMO? Is it it just becomes like, okay, if I'm in marketing, yes, then maybe I can go to a CMO and say that this is the direction that I want to go in, and can you mentor me? What is the guidance that I would like to do? So that's my long and short answer is that I feel there needs to be a structure. There needs to be there has to be also a certain way that people can approach you, so that it's a very clear, no agenda sort of conversation. But if you find a brilliant mentee, then and if you think that you can take them on board, then great. But if not, then it needs to be a proper mentoring session versus agenda led.
Guys, I'm back in the conversation. I got karmic punishment for talking too much, so my internet gave me trouble. But I'm back, and I hope all of you can hear me clearly now.
Yes, absolutely.
Am I bearable? Okay. So I heard all of you talking about how you could give this a structure, especially if you're talking about the experiential industry. I think we can take a two-pronged approach to this. One, of course, what Poonam said, and she's come up with this very brilliant mentorship program, which I think she'll be launching soon. That, of course, is an approach. It is a definitive approach. It's a structured approach. It's there out in the open for people to take advantage of. But then I feel mentoring is something that is also an extremely personal process, especially in the creative field. So now we have social media, and most of us are very easily accessible on social media. So I feel for the creative field, for media in general, it has become very easy for mentees to now approach mentors, for mentors to actually see the work of this particular mentee online and figure out whether they want to give their time to hone this particular talent, and then connect and take it forward from there. Having said that, I also feel that we still have a little way to go to understand the ethics of mentoring. And the ethics work both ways. The ethics work from the side of the mentor, the ethics work on the side of the mentee too. It can't be an agenda-based relationship, because most of my relationships that I've had with my two mentors, both men, have been extremely pure relationships where I have treated them like gurus, and they have, they have done their bit for me, but there hasn't been an agenda attached to that. And I think that really is a huge factor in deciding the success of a mentee-mentor relationship. Having said that, me as an artist is very different from what all of you go through in your organization. So I think as an artist, all of us who have received a bit of success in our careers need to just send out basic signals into the ecosystem there that we are ready to mentor people, and that's enough. And we will have more than many coming up to us and telling us to mentor them. But this is something that should just come from within, and this is something that is largely driven by mentors. So somewhere this is not really happening in our industry, and if it is not happening between women and women, if we don't have too many femtors out there, then somewhere we as women need to look within and say, why isn't this happening? Because the driving force of this mentoring relationship, women to women, are the mentors.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So, it's again a personal choice. Not everybody wants to be a mentor, and not everybody, is something that, it has to come to you naturally, right? So whether they want to do industry to industry, whether they want to do at community at a large, what kind of mentorship they want to do, it depends from individual to individual. So it's not necessary, but yes, I think the idea is that more and more women need to be recognized on the mentorship role, and they need to be acknowledged and respected to that level. That is missing for sure. But whether they want to be mentors or they don't want to be mentors is their personal choice at the end of the day. And whether they are capable to be mentors, it might not be a choice, right? It might absolutely not be a choice to be a mentor altogether. And they, probably don't want to, and just have their own, different sort of goals in their life. So I think that is another aspect that needs to be looked at as well. What happens is, even while you create industry to industry, is what I'm talking, Gitika. So I hope I'm making that point that, that you said that there needs to be, why are we looking at industry to industry? Maybe someone wants to make an impact on a larger scale. For example, Picton, which is a different sort of inspiration, different sort of mentorship that we follow there. And it's not necessarily, it has to be within the industry. That's what I'm trying to say here.
Rima, taking from what you said, that it is a personal choice. Agreed, it is a personal choice, and the day and age we live in, we have to respect people's personal choices, of course, 100%. But I just want to throw this one point here into this panel that right now, if I'm not wrong, we have about 19% of women in India who are in India's labor force. These are real statistics that came in 2020. Only 19%. And India's population, 48% are women. 19% are only in our labor force. And the calculations done, the predictions were that by 2025, if we just increased this figure by 10 percentage points, it would add $770 billion to our GDP. So somewhere I think women have to mentor. I think now it's the need of the hour, but there again, I mean, I completely respect that point of view that it is a personal choice, because it is a very, very emotionally intensive process to mentor someone.
Also, it's a huge responsibility and time. You have to give a lot of time to it. You can't kind of pick it up today and give it up tomorrow.
Yeah, and you have, exactly. So you have to see your mentee grow. You have to ensure that you put that much effort to make a prodigy. And that's important. And if you're not capable of that, then don't do it. You know, that's also a choice that you have to make. Very, very important. And, you know, where I said it's a personal, you know, we made a point that it's a personal thing. It's one-on-one. It's not. You can impact at a larger scale. Mentorship can happen at a very large scale. And as long as it's structured and your goals are defined and you know what you want out of that mentorship, it can be done at a very, very large scale. You don't have to be associated on one-to-one levels. There are so many gurus, right? At this point of time, there is Sadhguru, there is gurus at every level. They're not personally connected to you, but what they teach guides your entire life. You know, so that is a mentor as well, right? So it's at a larger scale. It's not a personal relationship. It can happen and impact your life in a way that you would never imagine, even at a large scale. In Pinkathon, I mean, the mentor is Milind Soman, right? And he impacts at a very large scale, he influences lives, but he's not connected with anybody personally. But you can impact so many lives with just having a structured program in place. And you, as long as you're able to measure, it can be scientific or it can be driven by some sort of algorithm. As long as you're able to measure what you're doing, then you're mentoring. Otherwise, you know, you're simply advising and you're simply, you know, guiding someone. But mentorship should be measured. Are you making something out of your mentee?
No, but when you're mentoring, Nima, you're also giving opportunities. For example, if I was mentored by certain people, I was also given opportunities to express my talent and to display my talent. Similarly, when I'm mentoring people, then I'm also making sure that they do get opportunities to exercise, you know, their skill. Mentoring, I think women mentoring in India is something, it's so much the need of the hour, whether it's done structurally, like Poonam said, or whether it's done, you know, one-to-one, like Sushma there. I mean, I've seen Sushma mentoring hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people down the years and giving so much of her valuable time, really. So both ways it can be done, but it's very essential. For example, if you look at in 2019, when the elections were held, general elections, we had about 78 women who went to the parliament out of 542 seats. That's just 14%. But even these 78 women were mentored by somebody in the vertical line who have gotten there. So I feel it's extremely important. We are heading into India version 2.0, and women will have to mentor women and increase our lot, increase our community, because that will result in the increase of our might in the world out there.
So I think what, okay, 1 second.
I just make one small point. I think coming to opportunity, you know, that probably is a byproduct of mentorship, right? So leveraging your networks for your mentee is going to be a byproduct, and that's when your mentee is totally ready. But that is still a byproduct, and it does not. I feel it does not fall in the line of mentorship. You know, I mean, you are guiding, you are, you know, ensuring that your mentee is on the right path. Beyond that, opportunity will come, and you know, you will leverage your network for them. The mentor will leverage, but that's a byproduct. First, the guidance and the right path needs to be shown. Sushma, over to you. That's
so I think so. You know, while I really applaud Poonam and the team for thinking about mentorship, because at least there is the conversation begins. I think once the conversation begins, shift happens. Yeah. Automatically, the industry starts adjusting themselves, and we start working towards creating mentorship as the most required thing to do. So kudos, Poonam, for that idea. And yes, of course, we're going to be working together. I'm sure you're not going to leave any of us. Everyone over here on this panel is going to be caught by Poonam. Yet, I want to just state one thing, like taking off from what Lydia had said, I have been running because I'm also in learning and development as a field. For the past 10 years, I've been running a mentorship program for one of the biggest automotive companies in the country. So yes, corporate India has thought of mentorship actually a little while ago, and now it's become a common practice in corporate India. It's common. It's common. It's a structure. There's a system. There's a need for a system so that the future of the company, the sustainability happens and growth happens within the company. That's the reason that mentorship platforms are created within a corporation or within a corporate, right? Now, similarly, for us, we have got to recognize that we've got to develop, if I'm just putting on the hat of an entrepreneur, okay, if we want to mentor within an organization, the other aspect of it is while we are mentoring within our organization, we've got to create a growth chart, a growth map for those who are working with us. So that's why alongside mentorship, it becomes very important to have conversations of entrepreneurship. Minute we start creating entrepreneurs, automatically mentorship becomes an easier task for us as entrepreneurs. And this is just something where I'm putting on the agency hat and not the L&D hat. And I would also like to state is we've got a lot of upcoming mine, including education institutes, right? So Wiscroft Management Institute of Media and Entertainment is actually out there as an education initiative, education institute. We've tied up with about 8 universities across the country. Now, it also becomes very important for those of us who are specializing in event management, media, and entertainment as a core structure to ensure that each of our new entrants, or rather wannabe entrants, are mentored by the industry who's who, or even not even who's who, by those who have the most valid, credible knowledge and who are well-meaning from the industry to actually take on and mentor the next generation. So we actually have, I'm not plugging in my institute, yet we have a mentorship program within our course structure so that what we're discussing does not is not a challenge 3 years from now. And that's where we really have to go where the fish are, and the fish are for our new entrants, So I think if work happens on both sides, like what Poonam is planning for the macro level for the industry shift, and yet we have also to start focusing on new talent that is joining our industry. I think that's just 1.5, I think now it's 4 pennies. So my 4 pennies that I wanted to add to this conversation.
But Sushma, to this I want to ask you, because I really want to know, is that because you run a mentorship program, how are you measuring the success or the progress of the mentee?
So a mentorship program is not something that call me when you are happy and you are sad and you want to know. A mentorship program is an ongoing planned program that works along the mentee's graph, right? So what ends up happening is in a mentorship program, you map what is the objective of that program for the mentee. What's the career growth a person wants to create? What is the personality? You have to look at it in all angles, not only in your career, what type of personality you want to develop, what type of image you want to create. And what happens is you handhold that mentee on that journey of that 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on how long that education program is, right? So BBM will be 3 years. So you're handholding your student for the 3-year batch. Now, the critical part is how do you measure it? The simple way of measuring it, there is I'm just going to focus on what Kritika said. Very important. There is a mentorship relationship. What is a two-way relationship that the mentor and the mentee require, which is actually a mentorship contract that is created. Now, when that contract happens, there are evaluations that happen on what is working at both ends. It's not just something you pull out of the hat and say, hey, hello, I'm your mentor. Call me at any time, right? And the graph is meant is when you realize and evaluate that has your mentee reached the vision or the objective or the goal that they have planned. Now, usually that goal is planned along with the mentor because, like I said, a person who is guiding a mentee is someone who has got to learn the mentee. It's not just someone who comes out of the blue and says, I'm your mentor. There's a relationship that is created, a fundamental relationship that is created over a period of 6 months, after which the mentorship, kind of literally rolls out.
I just want to rephrase my question. Is there an algorithm-based system that you have that you use to measure? Is there an algorithm-based, or it's just
no, there are. So it's not algorithm based as much as it is mapping a goal based. It's smart goal based system, which is used in learning and development processes widely. So it is a smart goal system. It, like I said, it does not need to be as complicated, yet it is to ensure that your mentee reaches their objective. And like I said, the objective and the goals are developed together. So that, because a mentee could have very myopic goals, not aware of what they could possibly accomplish. But there have been many success stories, and especially in Witchcraft Mind, I must tell you, we've got a set of 7 students who've set up a collaboration. Yeah, and they've executed a collaboration has actually been created out of a mentorship program. And through that collaboration, they've run about 4 events already, successful events. There's another one where we've reached out, and Aarti, for example, Aarti Mattu, she took on one of our students, and she not only gave internships, and internships is the critical part that I'm really talking about. As an internship provider, you actually can become an amazing mentor to that student. And Aarti, because of her guidance, that particular student is today running individual events with celeb events in Chandigarh, just fresh out of the oven student. So I think once we take on that aspect of how do we guide, how do we nurture, but in a very systematic, studied, evolved fashion, I think that is when a mentorship program will really get some teeth. It'll really make a difference.
Absolutely. I think that on the job learning and the internship is such a crucial part of the whole learning process. Yeah. Sorry, someone say.
Here, I want to pick Lydia's brains here, with your permission, guys. We're talking a lot about organizations and all of that. Lydia's handled many, many artists over the years. And since I'm an artist, I want to pick her brains and say that, okay, will this whole structured approach to mentoring artists work? One, will it work? And two, will it be restrictive in terms of numbers? Because programs can only have a number of people being mentored, right? Especially when they're beginning. Lydia, picking your brains on how can we mentor artists in the experiential industry?
You're partly right about the fact that you can't have it in large numbers, because I don't think so there are that many people who can actually take on a particular artist and then go end to end. And it's also a matter of time, like how Rima mentioned, right? People have to have the ability to sort of guide, stay focused, and take them through that, be there for that person and take them through their journey when you're mentoring somebody. When it comes to artists, again, unfortunately, in the industry that we have, senior artists are not as open-minded as you are, Gitika, and not be able to probably take on as many people because they are very reluctant to share their own trade secrets as such. Very few people take on and guide overall in the creative fields, I would say. When it's easy to sort of look at least in the organizations that I have seen, that most often corporate jobs, which are very marketing and finance, or those kind of business development, and those kind of jobs are very easy to mentor and take on. People normally have, especially because when you're going to study abroad, when you're doing your MBAs or any of these courses anywhere abroad, it starts with you having a mentor, by the way. In any of these alumni, they actually take on people and then they mentor you, and then you sort of move on to the next step. In our industry and in the creative fields, I don't think so that is anywhere close to, I can barely handpick in probably, at least to my knowledge, not have that many people who are there to sort of, who you can go up to, approach, and have a very clear, unbiased, mentoring part that happens. In event agencies, and there are amazing women who are entrepreneurs here, so they would probably be better to answer. Often talent is mentored at a very production creative level, but not artistic level. So the artists are always treated as a very different, the different type of talent, right? And I think, like Sabas, and like you said, that some of these people who have guided you and mentored you over a period of time, who have been in the industry to know how is it that you need to develop your career, very few people give that or impart that kind of knowledge. And that part, I think, needs a lot more structure, like you said, a lot more people to come forward to sort of guide, especially in organizations. And what you picked as a point, corporate organizations which take on talent. And now there are talent management agencies who have come into the picture, and they're sort of building on people's abilities and trying to build a character out of what the person is all about, or more than character, I would say a personality, so that then you're picked because of your personality, not only just because you're an anchor. And there are lots of people, right? Like you can find a lot of anchors, but it's the kind of delivery, the kind of subject knowledge that you have. Those are the things that people actually need to study, and it's an art. Like you sit and you actually, I know that you do, so that you are actually focused on studying, knowing your subject well, and that's the way you're able to deliver it so confidently in front of the audience when you host a show. But I have seen over the years some of the talent who comes with zero prep. They just take the script that is given to them. It's almost like a teleprompter read that happens, which is laid out there. Zero understanding of, or wanting to understand the product. Very few people are that. And when you try to guide them in that manner, they don't think that it's necessary. It's just about the looks and standing there and just delivering what they're delivering. But actually, when sports came in, sports is what brought in a very different type of anchoring.
Yeah.
Because that actually led to people not coming and standing there and being, just an anchor, or being pretty, or being handsome. It was more about having a mental communication. So you needed to talk to players, you needed to talk to coaches, you needed to know the subject, you needed to watch the game. So when we had Kabaddi, when we started Kabaddi, the anchors were made to sit down in the the control room to go through the entire match, so that they understand. So when they go and in halftime actually discuss what they're doing, it's not just random questions, so that they can have a conversation, which is a good conversation, understanding the subject really well. So it takes time and effort as well, right? I mean, so these people were taken under the wings of the programming head at that time, who decided that that's what he's going to do. But again, it's also the interest and level that you want to actually, the aptitude towards it. If you want to really do that, or you want it's more a fast growth versus, a sustained level of growth. Sorry, long answer, but that's what I feel.
No. I'd like to kind of continue in the artist zone here, and also prick Sushma and Poonam's brains here. So if you talk of solutions, I'm thinking in the years ahead, and I've almost made this commitment to myself that I will pull out time in the years ahead to run MC workshops across the country. Of course, you'll have to pay to sit in my class. And I've also committed to myself that I will probably do an IP. Don't take the idea away. No one can do it as good as I will. That where I will have 5 MCs mentor 10 new MCs, like you have on television. You have all those singing competitions where they are mentored. So I've made these 2 commitments out there, and I want to put this one little fact out there about the process of mentoring everyone who's watching us. It's not an easy process to do, because tomorrow the artists that you're mentoring could actually grow and take your place. So you've got to be ready for that. And how I have sort of managed to deal with that is that, okay, let them grow, let them take my place. As a result, I will grow and evolve into something else, and I will take another place. And that is how the wheel of life moves. That is the circle of life. And you have to understand that well enough and be very much at peace with that to kind of be a mentor. We have the host who's come on, which is a clear signal that
I have one
our
quick
time is up.
question. One question, Pooja, hold on, Pooja, hold on. I just want to give a moment to Poonam because she's created this entire mentorship program. I think it's best because the name itself is about mentorship. So I think before we close, Pooja, if you could just give us 2 more minutes. Poonam, if you could tell us what the mentorship program is about, how can we make ourselves useful, even more useful? A little bit, so we can close.
I've actually been asked not to talk about it till we launch it on 17th. So let's wait for it. But as Voice of Women, we're going to all be there, and I'm going to be knocking on all your doors to make sure that you give the time that I need from you to mentor some people.
Yeah. So please talk about Voice of Women, please.
We'll do that. Pooja, I'll take 1 minute. I know we've kind of had this really interesting discussion from various aspects, but I just want to bring the focus back to the lack of mentoring for women. And I'm just going to use a TED Talk reference from Sheryl Sandberg and just quote some quick numbers that she spoke about. She said 190 heads of state, 9 are women. Of all the people in parliament all over the world, 13% are women. In the corporate sector, top level jobs, tops at 15 to 16% for women. And the numbers haven't moved since 2002. Also, even in the non-profit world that we sometimes think is being led by more women, women at the top are only 20%. So if women are already underrepresented in most organizations, especially at the senior levels, if fewer women get mentored, fewer women will rise to leadership. And as long as this imbalance of power remains, women are at a great risk of being overlooked, undermined, and harassed. That's my 2 cents.
I think the men are
Sorry?
I think the men are insecure. What say?
I agree. And there is statistics that say that ever since the Me Too movement, men have started to shy away from even considering mentoring girls for fear of, getting caught in that.
Sure.
This conversation keeps getting more and more interesting, and I think towards the tail end, we've come to a very interesting conversation, and it probably isn't the ideal time to have to wrap it, but unfortunately, time is limited. Geetika, I'm going to ask you to do a quick wrap of this wonderful panel discussion that we've had this far, please.
Geetika is going to be one of the leading mentors in the coming times, and we're going to stop asking her to moderate and wrap up things.
Look at Geetika looking all shocked.
She's like, am I here? Yeah, we can hear you, Geetika.
So
Geetika,
you asked her to stop moderating at some point initially in this conversation. Why don't you do the honors?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
No, Geetika is the best to rap. As a speaker. Geetika, rap, no, darling.
Rap for us.
Not rap. As in wrap up the conversation. I think she can't hear us. Geetika.
Geetika is speechless.
Okay, so Poonam, you rap. Poonam.
No, Sushma, you do it. I did my 2 cents, and now you can do the.
Lydia.
All right, I think we can end it by saying thank you to all of you because those were some wonderful insights. There's a lot to take back from this wonderful conversation, and we wish it could have gone on and on because there was so much, lovely content in it. But until next time, thank you so much once again, Geetika, Lydia, Poonam, Rima, and Sushma.
Thank you so much.
Bye, ladies.
Thank you.
Again.
Bye.
So yes, those were 2 super powerful panel discussions. And with that, it's almost a wrap on this very interesting Power Women Forum conversations. But before that, I want to again acknowledge our tech partner Tag Labs and now invite Mugdha Gaonkar, Senior Correspondent, Event FAQs Media, to say a few words which are her closing remarks as well, please.
Power Women Forum Conversations 2021. What a show, what a day. On behalf of EVENTFaqs Media, I would like to thank our keynote speakers, the panelists, the moderators, and the team from Tag Labs, our tech partners, for making this event a great success. I also thank my colleagues at EVENTFaqs and everybody watching the forum today and listening to our powerful speakers. This is me, Mugdha Gaukar, signing off and wishing you all beautiful ladies a very happy Women's Day. Thank you.
What an amazing, amazing evening. With that, it's a wrap. Happy International Women's Day once again. Remember, ladies, be unstoppable, not because you're not going to have to face failures, but because you know how to come out on the other side stronger. Stay unstoppable. Thank you so much for tuning in.